I gave him to God.
You gave him to God?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake, and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real, and he loves you. He really does love you. He loves you.
Chilling body camera footage of what an Amish mom said to Ohio sheriff's deputies after allegedly drowning her 4-year-old son.
I need to know where your husband is.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
What allegedly happened at this park that also led to the death of her husband, as she is now facing multiple charges, including aggravated murder. We're on the case, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. The body camera video I'm about to show you is truly chilling because you're about to see a mom admit on camera to law enforcement that she drowned her 4-year-old son in what she says was a religious experience.
I actually just sit with my children and have water.
This is the body camera video just released of Ruth Miller when she was arrested on August 23rd, and it's a lot to take in. And before I play it for you, I need to break down how we got to this moment. This is Ruth Miller's mugshot. She and her family are members of an Amish community in Ohio. Police say that Miller, her husband, their twin 18-year-old sons and 15-year-old daughter, as well as 4-year-old son, went to a lake south of Akron. It's about an hour-and-a-half's drive west of Pittsburgh in Ohio. Local law enforcement said they got a 911 call that morning about a woman driving a golf cart with 3 other people on board into a lake. And this is a picture from the local sheriff's office of the golf cart in the water. And here's what the local sheriff said at a news conference per WEWS-TV out of Cleveland.
At the time that we received the call, people didn't realize what it was. It looked as though it could have been an unintentional event. It could have just been an accident, but it was a woman and 3 children on that golf cart.
But then the sheriff said when they first heard what Miller allegedly said to witnesses, this was about to be something more serious.
The first witness that arrives, the help, is asking the woman, does she need help up? And he tries to help, and she suggests to him not to help her, to just pray for her.
When deputies spoke to Miller, as you'll see here, she kept talking about her son, but her twin 18-year-old sons were okay. They were right there. Then they realized that she was talking about her 4-year-old. And here's what deputies saw when they first arrived.
I gave him to God.
You gave him to God?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake, and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real, and he loves you. He really does love you. He loves you. And I doubted him. I doubted him so many times, but I am to tell you he is coming soon. He is coming very soon. Prepare your hearts. The end is close. And I'm for sure supposed to tell you that he does love you. Okay?
Ma'am, can you explain to me what happened? Who did you throw in the water?
I gave my son to God.
Your son?
Yes.
Where's your husband?
He went for a walk this morning.
And you haven't seen him
He
since?
didn't ever come back. And we went to the boat and his clothes were there. And God told me he's in the lake and a fish swallowed him. And you're actually supposed to go look for him in the bottom of the lake. And you will find the fish. And you will find my husband. And then you will believe. But ye of your little faith that did not believe before seeing.
Okay.
So send people down to the bottom of the lake looking for a fish that has my husband.
How old's your son that's in the lake?
4. He's sweet. I love him. I gave him to God.
Okay. 7940 Central. We're out with the mother. She is advising that she threw her 4-year-old son in the lake to give him to God.
At this point, deputies are now trying to comprehend what happened. They are trying to figure out where her 4-year-old is, but they're also looking for her husband.
They are there. husband and I both got him. The pain came back to me.
I need to know where your husband's at.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
He's in a fish.
Yes.
There's no fish large enough on an Atwood to swallow your husband.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
Okay.
I thought your husband went for a walk.
Yeah, and then we came to the boat, and his clothes were laying on the boat.
Okay.
Tan
Yeah.
pants and cream shirt and flip-flops.
You have a cell phone?
It's in the camper.
It's in the camper. Where's your camper at?
I think it's,
Area 3?
I think so. Yeah. It's like a tannish camper.
It's a tannish camper. You don't know what lot number it is?
No.
Well, we really need to verify your husband's still
Right.
with us.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Well, he's actually just go out in the bottom of the lake.
Well, I can't go in the bottom of the lake. So
do you
we
have
need,
scuba divers?
yeah, we're gonna have to call divers in to go to the
Okay.
bottom of the lake.
Please do.
And you're saying
Get the best ones there are, because this is a miracle from God, and you will see. You will see.
you're saying your 4-year-old son's down there too?
He's with God.
Where's his body at?
I don't know.
Where did you throw him
He's
in the water at?
Off of the dock at the Paul's Way.
Where the bike was today?
Where the boat was?
Yeah, where the boat was. Please believe. I know.
When there's supposed to be ones coming out there.
I think there was one.
Does anybody have a glass of water?
We can get you water.
Please.
What's
Thank you.
we're right now we're gonna walk up to the squad, okay? That's what
Okay.
we're going to do. We're gonna put you in the back of the squad.
You will find my husband.
Okay, but you're gonna sit down in the back of the squad for us, okay?
Can I actually just sit with my children? Yeah. And have water?
Yeah, we can bring your children over.
I would love a glass of water.
Let's go up in this squad
we'll
over
get
here.
My children are here.
We'll bring them over
bring
in
them
a
over.
minute. Let me go check you out. Yeah, we're gonna get it. Kyle wants to go get you one.
You guys send the dive team over that way then?
Deputies would eventually find out that the Millers were doing religious exercises by the lake. Here's what the sheriff said in a news conference per WEWS.
Sometime just after 8 a.m., and this statement from both her children and other independent witnesses, she is seen loading up the 4-year-old on a golf cart near their RV and taking off very erratically. Everybody that will comment or any witness that you encounter that saw her driving will tell you she was driving very dangerously. She flipped the cart at one time. She was seen on 2 wheels another time. Of course, she was praying by the kayak. And she left. The children saw her leave with the 4-year-old. And then a while later, she came back. She states that she went to the dock and that she threw the 4-year-old in because that's what she needed to do as an offering to God.
Deputies believe this mom took her 4-year-old and drowned him earlier in the day, then drove the golf cart again hours later with her older kids as religious offerings on board.
940 Central. The mother is advising that her boat is located if you just want to log at the Causeway Center dock, and that's where she threw the child in the water. She's also now saying that the husband's in the water. If you just want to log that and notify the dive team, the Rangers are heading over that way right now.
Somewhere where it's not too hard on my knee.
So your knee won't hurt you. Please trust me.
Okay.
It won't hurt you.
Okay.
It won't hurt you. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. God, please show this woman that it is true what I'm telling you. People are doubting me. It is getting harder for me to stay strong. Please show her that it is true what I'm telling you. That there is a fish in the bottom of the lake. Please let her take me to sit with my children under the tree that you have created. Please, Lord.
Hey, listen.
Do you guys just want to bring her over to that one?
Yeah, we'll take her over
Okay.
that one.
So we can be closer to the rest of everybody else.
have a seat right here. We'll go get your children as soon as they're done.
No, I want to go
Right here.
What are the kids saying now?
I don't know if they've asked them if there's a little brother and dad or not. I don't know if they have.
Okay.
That's it. At this point.
The miracles are true. And these two we doubted too, but they are true. They are. And it's amazing. We can't tell you enough. Do you remember when Jesus was on the cross?
Yeah, I remember.
And he put his arms out and he said, "Forgive them, for they know not
Yeah,
what
you
they
told
do."
me that already.
Yes. They didn't know. They didn't know.
Yeah, right.
You are to trust. It's all about trust. It's hard because he does things in mysterious ways.
Sure.
And it's hard because we want to just believe our earthly ways. It is hard. Is part of you happy? Man, is part of you happy? Yes.
Go ahead.
Hours later, a dive team found the 4-year-old boy not far from the dock that they say Miller threw him from. He was at the bottom of the lake. As for Miller's husband, deputies believe he was disappointed in himself for how he handled the religious tasks they thought God was giving them at the lake, and he decided to swim out to a sandbar in the lake, and that is where he drowned. His body was found the next day, and the sheriff said he did not die in a rescue mission for his son.
I gave him to God.
You gave him to God.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real. And he loves you. He really does love you. He loves you.
A grand jury indicted Miller on account of aggravated murder and murder for the death of her 4-year-old son. She's also charged with felonious assault in connection to the 4-year-old's death, and she's facing a count of child endangerment for allegedly driving the golf cart into the water with her minor 15-year-old daughter on board. Then she's facing 3 counts of domestic violence for allegedly driving that golf cart with the 15-year-old on board, as well as her 2 twin 18-year-olds on board. She's being held in the county jail. According to WEWS, the Millers attended the Old Order Amish Church. That church has released a statement. They say what Ruth is accused of does not reflect their beliefs, and they say this was the result of mental illness. Joining us now is retired Judge Fanon Rucker. Thank you as always for taking the time to be with us. You practice in Ohio now as an attorney. Let's start with just this body cam video. You see some of the statements that this suspect makes. What was your reaction in watching that?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. These cases that we talk about are always so interesting. As I watched that body cam, a lot of things came to mind. First of all, the devastation of the entirety of the incident. Here is a mother who is, as we know now, charged with killing her 4-year-old son, and whatever her and trying to kill her twins and her 16-year-old teenagers, and that they were such willing participants in whatever it was that their loving mother, in their eyes, subjected them to. That's what I thought of first. But the second thing I thought of, and this is one of the things that really kind of raised my eyebrow, we have a murder. We have folks missing. And this woman was reaching out and touching that officer. Right. Now, I can picture so many incidences where officers are investigating a scene and there's serious allegations, and if you even breathe wrong in an officer's direction, many times somebody's on the ground and in handcuffs. So that raised an eyebrow to me that they were as comfortable as they were with her in their engagement. No, I guess she didn't present as a physical threat to them, but that was something in her actions that certainly raised my eyebrow and that I had on my mind. And a lot of people trying to get in contact with me today.
Yeah, I mean, I think like in watching that, because you can see they were first called to the scene for this, it seemed like it was an accident, right? Like here's this mom with her kids and they were driving on this golf cart into the water. And then it's like as she keeps talking, you can see law enforcement just start to be like, what exactly are we dealing with here? She's accused of, I found it interesting because she's facing a murder charge related to her 4-year-old, but also aggravated murder. Why the 2 counts related to the death of one person?
So it's not unusual when we're dealing with, it can be one death, but a person can be charged with 3 different charges for that one death. Or you may be charged with felonious assault for the action that led to the death. You may be charged with murder just in case you can't prove aggravated murder, because she is also charged with aggravated murder because we're talking about a child who's 4 years old. So you charge all of those, and ultimately, depending on ensuring that it's only the charge involving that child, they merge. And so ultimately, she can only be sentenced for one, even if she's found guilty, because the facts and the law justify the conviction on those charges. But that's why you see more than one charge for the same incident.
She was clearly someone very much into her faith. Apparently the entire family was. And I know her church in the Amish community did release a statement to a local television station saying that that's not what they believe in. You know, that's not part of their teachings. They believe that this was a case of mental health. But, you know, you have this woman who, the reason that she did this is, she says, for religious reasons. How does the law see the difference between, here's someone who really believed something from a religious standpoint, but then also looking and saying that this could be someone who has severe mental health issues that would have done this if she's found guilty?
That's a tough line to walk. So what we know when we're talking about whether someone has a mental defect or suffering from some mental disease at the time of the incident, the question is, from a legal standpoint, whether they understood and appreciated the gravity or the impact of their actions at the time they did them. Well, she seems to understand that very intentionally what she did. Like, this was not, oh, I thought God was gonna grab him and take him up into a spaceship when, you know, we throw him over the water. No, she said, no, we intentionally went in the water because God told me that this was going to be a miracle, and you just watch, you go find their bodies, it's going to be a miracle, I promise you. Like her actions were very intentional. Now, to the average person watching it, we say, ooh, clearly something is going on with this person that doesn't make sense, and you know, we use the moniker crazy, which is not appropriate to use, but there's something wrong here. But something wrong here does not meet the legal definition of not understanding and appreciating what someone is doing. It sounds very clearly like she understood and appreciated exactly what she was doing, even if it was unreasonable, outrageous, and ultimately horribly, murderously tragic.
I thought it was interesting. I was watching a news conference with the local sheriff there who said it was really difficult in interrogations and interviews to kind of piece together what actually happened because she kept, you know, repeating a lot of the lines that you see in the body camera video. But he also said, I don't think she's ever lied to us, which kind of sounded like the sheriff believes that she truly believes that God had told her to do this. When you look at how a defense attorney, with her clearly admitting that she did it on body camera video, and I'm sure the evidence will come with it as well, could there be a mental health argument here if you're the defense attorney trying to help your client, where clearly this is something, you know, I would just say on the outside, it's clear what she did. It's not like she's accused and wasn't actually there or any of that. It's clear what she did. It's just kind of I guess, how much of an impact does the motive behind it and what was going on in her mind matter to what the punishment may be?
Well, okay, so when we're talking about punishment versus liability, those two different questions. Motive is not required in order to prove guilt. Motive is helpful to prove guilt and could be used to establish the level of the penalty. What the issue is what was her intent at the time, whether she understood what she was doing when she did it. And that really is the gravamen of the issue. Did she understand when she said, I'm going to take my 4-year-old and I'm going to put him in this water? Did she understand what the potential consequences were going to be? And if she did, and if her intent was to cause those consequences because on some level she believed that God was going to perform some miracle to prevent him from passing on and drowning and lacking oxygen, then she may have or her lawyer may have a very difficult time establishing that she was not cognizant of her faculties at the time this happened. But I think any criminal defense lawyer worth their salt who represents her will absolutely make that argument. I think it would be malpractice for them not to.
I guess when you look at this, Judge, what is the punishment she could face in Ohio considering these charges?
Well, the most serious, because she is accused of aggravated murder. Murder is the killing, no person shall take the life of another. Aggravated murder is where there are certain aggravating circumstances. And the aggravating circumstance that justifies this being charged as aggravated murder in Ohio, which is the killing of a 4-year-old, actually justifies her being charged with a capital offense, which means she could be subjected to the death penalty. Now, it's also very likely on the murder charges that she's looking at life with the possibility of parole, life with the possibility of no parole, or life with the possibility of parole after a certain number of years. But that's what she'd be looking at between, for the most serious offenses, particularly with the aggravated murder, potentially the death penalty, but certainly life without the possibility of parole is a very real possibility if she is convicted and the defenses of mental health or mental defect is not proven by preponderance of the evidence as required for the burden to shift to the defense.
I think back to, like, in the beginning, I mean, clearly law enforcement, and to your point, we have seen examples where someone who, even if 2 people are missing, a 4-year-old and a husband, and you kind of go to grab an officer, things we've seen, very different outcomes with how that goes with physical touch and police. And that wasn't the case here. Is the fact that she's this non-threatening Amish woman, would you see that having an impact on whether or not she would actually get the death penalty?
Of course. When it comes to death penalty cases, there's 2 components to it. The first is the trial proving the actual offenses. So there would be a trial proving aggravated murder, that she did in fact take the life of this child, that there was no defense that she is able to exert. And then they would find that there were aggravating circumstances. The second and separate phase would be the death penalty phase. And it's at that part that her lawyers would present any type of information, mitigating circumstances, which would militate against her being given the death penalty. Such that fact that she was a mother, that she didn't have a criminal record, that she was religiously given to her beliefs, and that this was more about someone who was aligned with their beliefs radically than someone who was malicious in trying to take the lives of her family. I mean, all of those things would go into consideration to determine whether or not the death penalty should or would be imposed. So the idea of her being a mother and Amish and, kind of docile, and assuming she has no prior record, I haven't looked it up, I don't know whether she has a prior record or not, but presuming those things that also made the officer comfortable allowing her to touch him in that instance would also be the things that a 3-judge panel perhaps would look at to determine whether or not those aggravating circumstances justify her receiving the death penalty.
One other thing I thought of, and you're the attorney, of course I'm not, like where she's facing 3 domestic violence charges so she is accused of driving this golf cart into the water, throwing the 4-year-old in the water, the 4-year-old dies. Then she's accused of driving this golf cart into the water again with her 2 18-year-olds and I believe 15-year-old daughter. They, being older people, are able to get out and they're okay. But at the same time, she's facing domestic violence. I look at that and I think, like, why is that not attempted murder, considering she allegedly murdered someone earlier in the day doing that exact same thing? Yeah,
certainly there's an argument, but the question is, how far does the act go to the likelihood of murder? So if she got to the water's edge or got in the water, but there was no real threat to them because they were able to swim and they were able to unbuckle their seatbelts and get out. I think there was twin 15-year-olds and a 16-year-old or the other way around. Domestic violence says no person shall knowingly cause or attempt to cause harm to a family or a household member. So, that certainly qualifies. Would attempted murder apply here? It could, and perhaps they'll consider upgrading charges if they get additional information. But I think they feel that, with the age of the children and the relative risk that was posed to them at the time, that domestic violence as opposed to attempted murder would be the appropriate charge.
And then this lastly, Judge, because then the husband is also dead and he on his own, according to law enforcement, was upset with whatever religious, prayer ceremony they were doing, and he decides to go swim, and he ends up drowning. He was not going to, according to law enforcement, trying to save the 4-year-old. This was him on his own, kind of in the same line of thinking, it appears, with what Ruth Miller was thinking. But what charges, I guess, what do you make of the fact that she's not really charged with anything related to him? I mean, he's obviously passed away, so it's not like he could face charges related to this, but it seems like it's just, you have her facing charges related to the kids, and then the husband, he is just dead.
Yeah. I don't know what charges she could have faced for his death unless she encouraged him or advised him, and she had such control over him that would cause him to do that. We've seen those in cases where people have relationships and the person they're in a relationship with encourages them to commit suicide, and they do, and the person gets charged. I mean, we see that, but those are some extreme cases of incredible influence that is being exerted over the person who actually does take their own lives. I don't know that that's what's been established here by the facts of the investigation. It seemed like, he didn't know how to handle his marriage and the fanaticism that his spouse showed by her actions and her practices. And perhaps there was some mental health issues that this husband also experienced, that he couldn't or wasn't in a position to try to save his family, as opposed to just try to run away. But I don't know what charges would be appropriate against the wife. And at this point, what she is facing with what she's already admitted to on camera, what greater penalty would even be effective for the husband being encouraged to go swimming under those circumstances, unless there's proof that she did something to him which caused him to be unable to swim. But I think there was actually conversation, a Jonah type thing, where they were going to get swallowed by a large fish, and that this was the design and the plan for that to happen. And they, of course, found the 4-year-old and the husband at the bottom of the lake, having drowned.
Yeah, just an incredibly tragic story, and we'll see how the court proceedings now play out. Retired Judge Fanon Rucker, always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.